After a heartbreaking loss, we move forward to Christmas Day and the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the hottest team in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, that have won so many one-score games. What do the Steelers need to do in order to stop that Kansas City machine and bring a victory home to the city of Pittsburgh? Welcome back, everybody, to Mike Drop Sports. We're going to talk about all that stuff involving the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they need to do moving forward here to clinch that AFC North crown. Also, we're going to talk about the playoff scenarios and what is coming down, who's in, who's out, and what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do in order to get this AFC North crown handled and done here. Yes, it's going to be dependent on some teams winning and losing. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers do control their own destiny. They sit first place right now inside of the AFC North, tied with the Baltimore Ravens. They hold the tiebreaker, though, with a better AFC conference record, as both have the same overall record and both have the same divisional record. So that tiebreaker comes down to conference record, overall conference. And the Steelers now sit, I believe, they definitely hold the lead. That's the tiebreaker that is right now putting the Steelers above the Baltimore Ravens in terms of if the season ended today, the Steelers would be AFC North Division champions. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, have a little bit more of a difficult road to travel here. They have the Chiefs and the Bengals being one of the hottest teams right now in the NFL, really surging. They have a shitty defense, however, but that offense really could carry a football team. And they are inching ever so close to making a absolute insane playoff bid and really jump in this playoff bracket. And they could be a real tough out for anybody that they have to face with that offense led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, again, find themselves in a little bit more of a difficult road to travel here. The Baltimore Ravens will go down to Houston and take on the Texans here next weekend. And that's a little bit easier considering the Texans, with all their injuries to that wide receiving core, basically have no wide receivers left to speak of, no big name guys, and they have already clinched that AFC South crown. So that should tell you a little something about that division and how bad it is. But the Baltimore Ravens did this. They clinched a playoff spot, a wild card playoff spot, just the same as the Steelers. The Steelers clinched that last week. So both teams are guaranteed wild card playoff spots. It's now just who is going to be that AFC North champion and get that first round bye. And what do the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do to secure victory against that Kansas City Chiefs team? That is the big thing for the Steelers here. That game right in front of them on a short notice here. The Steelers got to do this, guys. They got to remain calm. Don't panic like most of the fan base is doing. Don't freak out. Don't get overly high, overly low. Don't freak out, man. Don't hit the panic button. And if you're Russell Wilson, I think you can control this enough inside of that building to keep this team even keel heading into this Kansas City Chiefs game. You're facing a Chiefs team that is 14-1 overall. Now they come into Pittsburgh wanting to keep that AFC top seed, and you have the Buffalo Bills right now 12-3. So the Kansas City Chiefs basically need to win one more game here. That would put them at 15-1, and then it wouldn't matter. So yes, they're going to be trying to win because they want that AFC North crown, but the Buffalo Bills are really inching closer to that, but they have 3 losses to Kansas City's 1, so maybe the Chiefs aren't coming out fully crazy because they know all they got to do is win one more game, and that could come in the final week of the season. It could come this week against the Steelers. It is what it is, but the Steelers can't afford a loss. They need to win both of their games, and how do they do that? Starting with Kansas City. Limit the turnovers and play solid, fundamentally sound defense at home on Christmas Day, because the Chiefs are traveling here, guys. So that's putting them at a slight disadvantage, and they have won a ton of one-score games, and the Pittsburgh Steelers over the years have been masters at that one-score game. They've been able to really hang their hat on that and really be really their MO in winning football games over the last few seasons. So let's see if the Steelers can continue to be able to come out in those close games and win them. But again, limit those turnovers. And guys, here's something that's a variable that hasn't been going the Steelers' way here in the last 2 weeks. That's the ball just bouncing, luckily, their way. You've seen several possibilities for turnovers, both from Philadelphia and Baltimore. But however, those balls didn't bounce their way, as what was happening prior to this earlier in the season, before those two games, was the Steelers was getting those bounces. They were receiving those turnovers, and that is hard for a team that they are playing to overcome. And that was the difference, guys. And sometimes you got to be lucky rather than good. So, yeah, those turnovers got to start bouncing their way again, and hopefully those tides turn and that happens. Again, if you're Russell Wilson, you hope to have George Pickens back because you need your full arsenal here to get these last two ball games to finish out the season and maybe prevent Cincinnati from getting into the playoffs. They have a couple different situations in which they need the Dolphins and Broncos to lose, and they need to continue to win out. But, we'll get into those situations maybe later here in the show in terms of what the Bengals need to do. But, again, limit the turnovers, man. Limit the turnovers. You have to literally limit those turnovers if you're the Steelers. Do not do the fatal errors against the Chiefs, man. And hopefully the ball bounces your way. But when you're facing Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, I think the Chiefs' game plan this week is going to be come out and pound the football down the Steelers' throat. They saw what Derrick Henry did, and I think they're going to come out and try to run behind some of the best offensive linemen in the league with Kansas City. And I think that that's what they're going to do to try to preserve the health of Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid understands the long game. He understands what's going on here. And I don't think he wants Patrick Mahomes out there running around with TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Herbs, all those guys breathing down your neck. You don't want to do that and risk the health of Patrick Mahomes because then if he's lost, your Super Bowl chances are lost. And Andy Reid understands that. So again, the Steelers need to come out, contain Patrick Mahomes, but they need to come out and they need to play that run really, really well. And again, guys, what is really a big issue here is that back end of the Steelers defense being hurt. You're beat up on that back end, and the biggest problem is not having Deshaun Elliott, a guy that can come down, help in the run game, a guy that's played really well in the pass game. Not having him is really hurting the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that is the real start of the defensive woes right now for Pittsburgh. However, the Steelers defense has been able to persevere and get that ball back for that offense, but the offense hasn't been able to get it done. That pick six by Russell Wilson, that killed the Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens, that fumble by Russell Wilson, but that wasn't Russell's worst game ever. That wasn't the worst thing that could have happened for Russell. Yeah, it was, those two plays, but overall, Russell Wilson's performance was pretty damn good. However, those two plays were just so meaningful that they really hurt the Steelers. Again, guys, what are we talking about here? Controlling the time of possession, limiting the time that Patrick Mahomes is out there on Christmas Day. Both teams are coming off of really short weeks, really tough ball games. That Texans game that the Chiefs just played was a very physical, tough ball game that the Chiefs were able to pull out. Again, I believe a one-score game, winning there, finding ways to win. But if you're the Steelers, you really just got to come out and give your best effort here because I believe the Ravens will lose one more game in my opinion. I think out of these last two, we'll see what happens. But the Ravens hopefully will drop one. And if the Steelers can get that W here this week, that would really secure the AFC North crown if the Baltimore Ravens could go down there and lay an egg against the Texans. You never know. You're going on the road. So we'll see how that all transpires. But again, guys, time of possession, limit the turnovers. Hopefully the ball starts bouncing your way. Limit the opportunity for Patrick Mahomes. But this game is real simple, guys. The X's and O's, and we could go all over these crazy schematics of this game and what the Steelers need to do in order to get players open without George Pickens if he doesn't play. But really it boils down to this. Offensive line, defensive line, those guys have to have their best performance of the year here against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if that happens, if those defensive and offensive fronts play their best football of the year here this Wednesday on Christmas Day, if they can do that, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can win. And I really find it hard-pressed for the Steelers to drop 3 in a row. I really think it's going to be one of those things that would be real devastating, but I think this team is good enough, and I think it is a solid enough football team that they will be able to overcome what has happened here the last 2 weeks and get one win out of this gauntlet of 3 really tough football games going against some of the hardest teams in the NFL to play. So definitely, yeah, I'm hoping that one win coming out of that would be, something that happens, hopefully. But I think it's something that will happen. I think the Steelers will overcome here. Again, going against the Bengals is something, are they going to be playing for a playoff spot in that final week? Or are they going to be out of it? Are they going to lose, here this week? I don't know. We're going to have to see how that all unfolds. This is crazy. The AFC North Hard Knock show has just gotten a lot better. You have the Bengals in the hunt still, bidding for an amazing playoff bid. Then the Ravens beating the Steelers now have an opportunity to win the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers have played a really tough stretch of games here against some of the league's best teams, and they're just holding on, trying to keep that AFC North crown in their possession and not allow it to slip through their fingers here. They don't want to be a wild card team. So many things happening here, guys. So many things, and how amazing it is for the NFL to have this going on during their filming of AFC Hard Knocks. So yeah, crazy, man, crazy. But we'll be back again with our live show. We'll get all your comments, questions, and concerns. Again, the Steelers got to do some simple things, guys. Win in the trenches, both defensively and offensively. If that happens, they win. They definitely win. I think with the short week that the Steelers can control the time of possession, run the football really well, and hopefully control the run of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't think Andy Reid puts Patrick Mahomes in jeopardy just to beat the Steelers here on Christmas Day. I think he, again, understands the long game, the big picture. So this is going to be one of those weird games considering the length of time that they've had to prepare for each other and both coming off of very physical games Sunday. So this is going to be one of those weird, probably bad product type games that the NFL puts out there sometimes with these short weeks. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But the Steelers, again, guys, do not panic. Do not hit the alarm, man. Do not bail. Do not get off of this this ship, man. Don't act like the Steelers have no chance. And honestly, if they lose these last 2 games, I still feel like they can win playoff games. This team just got to get a little bit healthier, man, and find that mojo again. Get that momentum back on their side. Start to get the ball to bounce their way in those lucky turnover type situations. And if you're offensively playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you just hope George Pickens gets back to start stretching that field out again for the Steelers run game and that Steelers wide receiver room. And again, guys, get Pat Freiermuth the ball. Stop ignoring him. Stop ignoring him. And if you're Arthur Smith, quit trying to outsmart yourself and throw the ball to McCole Pruitt and Patterson. Get it to your playmakers and start doing the things that are necessary in order to win. So public service announcement to Arthur Smith. I hope you hear this, my friend. Stop trying to outsmart yourself. Get back to the basics. Get back to getting the ball to your playmakers and stop being stupid, my friend. Bring me in. I'll get you where you need to be. Daddy will help you out. All right, guys, until tonight, I don't want to keep rambling on here, but until tonight for Steel City Live, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace, my friends. See you on the next one.